Welcome to Pilates for Longevity. Today is a targeted workout specifically for your hamstrings. So many of us are tight through the hamstrings. Sometimes it's hard to reach our toes. So this is meant to help open up those hamstrings for you. If you have not done so recently, I would suggest releasing the tissue behind the hamstring. So a quick foam roll, massage gun, or a trigger point ball will do the trick. Before and after would be amazing if you have the time to do that. But let's get started. You can see I have yoga blocks here. Now, if you can already touch your toes and you're able to reach the floor, grab yoga blocks so that the floor is not in your way for this next exercise. Let me demonstrate first what we're doing. I have a set of 8-pound weights. However, you could do no weights. You could do 3-pound, 5-pound, whatever you feel comfortable with. I mean, you can even go up as heavy as like 20 pounds total. So instead of 10. Okay, so watch me for a moment. So I start with good posture, making sure that we're not slumping, right? So we lift out of our pelvis. Then and I do, by the way, have my toes hooked at the edge of the yoga block. That just gives me a little bit of security. And then I start to roll down sequentially through the spine. We want to be able to weight load through the spine in various directions so it is strong and mobile. And then here I'm still hitting the floor. So I'm going to end up bending my elbows just a little bit, and then I'm going to roll back up. Okay? So you could do this with no weights, like I said, or you can even interlace your hands behind your head and do the same thing. All right, let's get started. So start nice and tall, and then chin to the chest is going to be the first thing, and then just imagine you're kind of like rolling yourself up as if you were a yoga mat. You're rounding the spine. Go slow, assessing how your body's feeling. Try not to lock into hyperextension. So micro bend through the knees especially if you hyperextend. And then go as low as you can. I'm going to bend my elbows here because I'm hitting the floor. And then start to roll up through the spine. So this is obviously lengthening the hamstrings, but also strengthening because we're under weight load. This is also very good for spinal mobility as well. You know, we're always taught to lift heavy objects with a neutral spine, and of course, yes. But with that being said, you also want to train your spine to move in different directions with some weight load so you can maintain your bone density of the spine and also twist and turn to grab things at weird angles and not throw out your back, right? I'm hoping that anytime there's a hard workout, I tend to lose it. I start laughing. So I apologize in advance if that starts to happen at some point during today's session. Sometimes I just can't hold it together. One thing you might notice too, if you have some pretty good body awareness, is on the roll down, you might notice there's a section of the spine that kind of moves in one chunk versus articulating through the spine. That would be something you could go back at a later time and roll out the muscles on either side of that section of the spine because they're tight and they are inhibiting the bending of the spine right there. So that's just a side note. And especially on the roll up, make sure you don't lock your knees so you can really utilize the hamstring strength. Whew, let's do 2 more. And don't rush it. Go slowly. Ooh, starting to shake. It's exercise 1. Okay. Oh, good. Come off of there. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm going to place my weights down by the side. Okay, I'm going to not use the yoga. Let me show you really quick. Modification now. We're doing elephant walks. You can step like this. This is a modification. Even easier, flip your yoga blocks in the vertical position, and we're bouncing and walking, bouncing and walking. I'm not going to use these. I'm going to just touch the floor. So those are all of your options. Walk it down to your mat. Come back. We're going to do 4 sets. All right, here we go. And you can flick the hand off. You're getting a little bit of wrist work. The knee is bending a little bit as you walk. Turn around, switch to the other side. Walking relatively with straight legs. Good, turn around. You can think of this lubricating the posterior chain of the body, the back of the body. The back, the hamstrings, the glutes, the calves, arches of your feet, all included. All-inclusive resort to happy hamstrings. Okay, we're halfway there. Rotate around. If you notice, you always step with one foot forward first. Try to mix it up. If you rotate to one side all the time, try to mix it up. Just little things that you might start to notice that are typical patterns of movement for you. Okay, once we're to the end, fold it in. Slowly roll it through the spine, micro bend through the elbows. The knees. Wrong joint. Wrong joint. Okay, all right. Let's grab one of your heavier weights, medium to heavy weight. I'm going to grab the 8-pound weight. I'm going to do single leg. Reach your hips out this way and come back up. Now, even though it doesn't look like it, because I'm counterbalancing the weight of my torso and the weight of the dumbbell, I am trying to keep most of my weight over top the front foot, even though my hips go backwards in space. This leg is like a little kickstand. We're doing 10 of these, by the way. This leg's like a little kickstand, and I'm trying to hinge at this hip joint, right? Be sure you're not rounding your spine. So if you really exaggerate, heart out, chest out, just imagine your body's doing a back bend. As you're doing this, you'll probably end up being in neutral. Five more. Three more. Chest out, heart out, tail out. I gotta remember that micro bend. Oh, that's hard when you add that micro bend. One more. The hamstrings, the hamstrings cross the knee joint, and the calf crosses the knee joint. So they go like this, okay? So when you are sitting into the joint, you can take a stretch, by the way, if I'm telling you this. When you sit back into the joint, the energy, you're resting on the joint, right? So when you add that micro bend, you're engaging the muscle so it continues through the whole fascial net, and it doesn't just, the energy doesn't stop at the knee joint. Okay, we have the other side. Okay, kickstand your foot, chest out, tailbone out. Really just imagine you're like this. Just over-exaggerate it. And again, you'll probably end up being closer to neutral. I just want to make sure you're not like this. Okay, so I don't want you going over like this. You really have to stick chest out and tailbone out. Hamstrings come up and attach at the sits bone. We think of hamstrings being 3 of them, but there's 2 parts to one of the muscles, so 3 out of the 4 hamstrings, you can consider that, attached to the sits bone. So the more you lift up on it, the more you're stretching and pulling the hamstrings. And because we have the weight, we're strengthening at that end range. And again, so good for if you're flexible, building the strength within the flexibility. 5 more. And then if you're struggling with flexibility, this is the way to help unlock the nervous system and increase your flexibility. And then if you do that fascia release work, the foam rolling work, before and after, before it unlocks the knots in the body, to give you more range. It kind of sets you up a little further ahead, a little bit more successful at the beginning. And then foam rolling could be a great recovery at the end of the workout as well to restore. Blood flow through the area, the muscles get beat up, it's like giving them a little massage. We're gonna do 2 at the same time. All right, let's go sits bone width apart. So when you look down at your feet about this far apart, just about a fist distance. Once again, just imagine in your mind, right, that your chest out, tailbone out, and then you'll probably be neutral. What you're trying to figure out is, where does your pelvis stop, okay? Like right here, if you watch me, my pelvis doesn't go any further right now. If I continue to move my torso, yes, I can touch the floor, but do you see how I'm rounding? So you have to tune into your hips, like I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Just how much does the pelvis move? Travel the sits bones, bony parts of your butt, away from the rest of your leg. Take it up to the ceiling. Whenever the hips stop, you stop. And then come back up. Add that slight knee bend. So easy to rest into the joint here. We're going up to 10, by the way. And you've heard me say it probably in other videos too. When you stretch, or you go into some of these big moves, the idea is to not really feel it, which feels impossible right now. You're like, what? What do you mean don't feel it? But you want to be able to get into the movement where it just feels like you hit your end range and that's it. Where you specifically feel the tightness is going to be where the muscles are bound together and where they need to be fascially released. And you can, again, do that through foam rolling. And then the mobility work and the strength work that we're doing here helps maintain that. So it doesn't revert back, right? Stressful living can create tightness in the tissue, right? If you ever think of, like, if you're working long hours, if you hold tension in your neck and shoulders from that, like, the body holds stress, trauma, all of that stuff. So we're just keeping our bodies moving like a well-oiled machine. Ooh. And then one more. Okay, all right, go ahead and place that down. Come back with one yoga block. Okay, we're gonna do 2 different exercises here. We're gonna put one foot up on the yoga block. Now, this first thing that we're doing is going to be a little bit more targeted through the glute and the TFL to kind of open this, and then we're gonna go into the hamstrings. So what I'm gonna have you do is take your body into a twist. Just for balance, I'm close enough to the wall where the back of my hand is touching the wall. If you feel like you need more stability, you can even put your hip against the wall. You're gonna reach the arms out into a T position, 1 foot on the yoga block. You're gonna stick your chest out, tailbone out like before, and then you're gonna reach down to the floor, and then just going in and out of that stretch. Because the foot's elevated, it's a little bit less work than what you're gonna feel in a moment. It drives the leg and the femur up into the hip socket to kind of open up the capsule just a little. 3. Okay, for the next 5, we'll add a little stretch this way, okay? So I'm gonna place my hand on my hamstring, or you could even do low back and add that in for a little bit of core work here. So we go down, hand to the hamstring or to the hips, low back area. We'll do one more, then we'll go to the other side, and then we'll come back without the yoga block. That's fun. That's a fun one. I just feel like a little seesaw. Teeter-totter back and forth. Okay, don't be surprised if your second side feels different than your first side. We're not always exactly symmetrical. Okay, so you got one foot on the yoga block and, not too wide, right? So you don't want to feel like you're really stretching far out. Just feel comfortable. You're going to twist and then go over. Ooh. Tighter a little bit. You might be able to feel a little bit of a nerve stretch, which feels slightly different than a muscle, almost sometimes like a little tingling stretch. Nerve stretch is totally fine. You just want to make sure that you go, I think that was 5. I'm going to do one more just in case. The next thing we're going to do, by the way, is we add a little back bend. For nerve stretches, you want to go in and out of the nerve stretch. You don't want to linger there. You can make it a nerve upset. So when you feel a nerve stretch, a little tingling, you go in, you come out, like what we're doing. This is good, actually. I should keep going. So if your hand hits the floor and you're like, I feel like I could keep going a little bit more, just bend the arm. Oh, one more. So good. Okay, hopefully you felt that too, in a good way. Okay, I'm getting rid of the yoga block. All right, we're going to have 10 now where the feet are flat on the floor. This is going to load the hamstring more. So let's, once again, open the arms out to a T position. We can do that, yeah. And then you're going to reach forward and then back up. You can feel the difference, hopefully. I'm going to open the feet a little bit. 3, 4. I can really feel the difference. I know this to be true, but I did the same exercise the other day without rolling the hamstrings beforehand, and I felt it way more than I do now. So if you have the opportunity to do that rolling at the hamstrings prior to starting some of this work, it's more pleasant when you do the exercises. 3 more. 3. If this arm's getting tired, you could always tuck it in too. Totally fine. You can always modify however you need to make it accessible to you. Okay, I think that was 10. All right, let's do the other side. All right. Twist. Did you ever know before you started something, you're like, oh, I feel like this is going to be hard. Like you just know. You haven't gotten into the movement yet, and you just know it. Oh. 3. Tailbone out, chest out. 4. Exaggerate the sits bones lifting. This is 5. This is 6. Oh. And 7. 8. Ooh. 9. This twist is helping the, one more, the spiral fascial net. Okay, so that exercise helps the spiral fascial net. So if you're in yoga class and you do one of the seated twists, that would help that exercise. It would feel much easier. We're going to do a variation on that right now, standing with our hip against the wall. So you're going to sickle your foot for this exercise. So instead of your foot facing straight ahead, it's turned. Okay, we call that sickled. You grab with the opposite hand the outside of your foot, so you're sickled. You can lean your hip against the wall to help balance. You're going to try to extend the leg and come up as tall as you can, and then look to the back hand. Then you're gonna bend it to come back in. You can open yourself away from the wall at an angle so that you're still leaning, and you're just taking a hip opener right here. And then we're gonna repeat that again, okay? So you grab the outside of your foot, try to sickle the foot, try to stand tall, twist and open, and then come back in and kind of face the corner, just so I can remain leaning against the wall, opening up the hip here. A great position if you need to do hip flexor release work. A lot of people are so tight through here. They have like little cords, the muscle's very tight, and then you can massage that, and then also you could do some rapid release there, massage gun work. All right, sickle, and open, and then bring it back in. We'll do 2 more for that. Let's sickle the foot. And try to stand tall. One more. Woo! Okay, other side. All right, lean yourself against the wall, sickle the foot, extend it this side tighter. Okay, so I'm just gonna, give me one moment, I gotta acclimate here. Oh, big difference from one side to the other side. Okay, I'm sure I'm not alone in that. Wow, intense. Third set, I gotta stay here a little bit longer, hold on. The body wants to get in and get out quickly. It hurts. We can do it, we can do it. I got 2 more. Getting a little bit easier the more repetitions. Motion is lotion. Oh, unpleasant, unpleasant. That tells me I need to do more of that. The stuff gives you feedback. When you enter these large ranges, it gives you feedback on what's starting to tighten up and what you need to do to take care of that. Okay, next you're gonna grab a foam roller, and I'll meet you down here on the mat. If you have your foam roller, a long one or a short one will work for this. You're gonna go ahead and lay down on your mat. The arches of your feet go on. Just watch me for one moment. We're gonna start by taking small itty bitty walks out and in with your foam roller, okay? All right, relax your shoulders, hips are lifted. Start to take little walks, little log rolls out, and then back in. Good. 5 sets total. The first time I did this exercise ever, I remember my eyeballs felt like they wanted to pop out of my head. You do get stronger with this one. So if you feel like that now, just know there's hope for you in the future. Stick with it. One more. Oh, rest. Okay, take a moment, stretch it out, stretch it out. Oh. Okay, next version. You're going to lift up. Now watch me just roll it back and forth. Small motion, we're gonna do 10 of those, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, I'm going over my heel. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rest. Woo, stretch it out, stretch it out. Oh. Single leg. You're gonna cross one leg over. The good news though, you're gonna cross it. This helps to ground it. It makes it a little bit easier. You could be more advanced and take one leg straight up to the sky, but we're gonna do hip lift and down 10 times. Okay, here we go. 1 and down. 2 and down. 3 and down. 4 and down. 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, switch to the other side. Track your foot, by the way, your bottom foot. Make sure that the foot doesn't like spin out to the side. Knee, shin, foot all align. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Okay, let's do away with the foam roller. Throw that off to the side. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do hamstring walkouts with no foam roller this time. We're going to do 10 of those, okay? You're trying your best to keep your hips up, but the further you go out, and if you almost get straight legs, your hips are going to probably be touching the floor. Just don't rest them on the floor. Okay, start with your hips up high, flex your feet, baby steps to walk out as far as you can, and then back in. Set 1 is complete. Set 2, 3, 4, 5. Baby steps. Sometimes we skip over the areas that we're weakest. 6. So if you notice you have a big blip in your walk outs, or when you come back in, try to go teeny steps through that area. Oh, one more set. We can do it. And rest. Oh, stretch it out. And remember, if you feel it in one very specific area of the hamstring, it might be a good idea to pause the video and then roll that specific area out. It'll feel much better. Okay, next, grab some yoga blocks. Okay, you have your yoga block here. You're going to place it between the glute and a pointed foot. Now, if you have a more flat posterior, it might be challenging to hold on to the block. So get creative at home. You can try using a ball maybe, like a small Pilates ball, or you can also do nothing and just kind of follow along with the motion as well. Try your best. Okay, so I've got one leg with the yoga block, pointed foot to help keep it in place. Keep your thighs together. You're going to lift up, try to squeeze the yoga block, rest it. And you lift up, squeeze the yoga block. And when I say squeeze the yoga block, think heel to the glute, okay? Bending the knee more. And again, lift, push the heel into the yoga block and lower. Lift and press. Now, if you don't like the sensation of that same hip dropping into the floor, try to stabilize it as best as you can so your hips stay level. You might need a little extra pressure through the same arm as leg. So I have left yoga block in my left leg, so my left arm would have to press a little bit more, as well as my right leg into the floor to help maintain some balance through the hips. Or more easily, you can just place a little towel underneath the hip bone to give you a little bit more support if you need to. Let's go for 4 more. Hopefully you can see this movement. I actually am moving. It might look like I'm not, but I lift the thigh and I try to bend the leg more to increase both extension and flexion of the knee. And last one. Okay. Ooh, small microscopic movements here. Okay, pointed foot. Keep your thighs relatively close together. Lift the hip, squeeze it in, and then rest. Lift the thigh, squeeze it in, and lower. If you need some support underneath that hip, you can place it there. If you need to utilize the same arm and opposite leg into the mat, you can. Lift the thigh, bend it in, a lift, a bend, and lower, a lift, a bend, and lower, a lift, a bend, and lower, lift, and bend, and lower, lift, and bend, and lower. Let's do one more. Lift and bend and lower. Okay, next thing. Put both yoga blocks together and try to place them between your ankles. And then flip back over. Okay, a little tricky. All right, the two yoga blocks helps to keep your legs more parallel. If we did the one yoga block, the knees would be slightly wider than, most likely, the ankles, which recruits more of your glutes. And I want to try to keep it really focused on the hamstrings. Arms are going to try to reach in front of us. You could still rest your head on your hands in any way that's comfortable for you. But I'm going to try to lengthen my lats, my ribs, my whole torso, just try to lengthen it, and arms too. I lift my thighs. I'm going to extend the legs into the air, bend them, keeping the thighs lifted, and then lower. If you need additional support underneath the pubic bone, just grab a towel or a like a flatter type pillow, blanket, something. And then we'll just continue up to 10. Take your time. Try to get your fullest height for all of these positions. Lift it, extend it, bend and down, lift, extend, bend and down. Keep it going. If you're experiencing any cramping, guess what I'm going to tell you to do? Roll that area out. Okay, for this next setup, you don't have to follow me, but I do want to make a little seat for myself. It's going to perch myself up so you can take the yoga blocks and do this. Now, I just moved the mat to make it comfortable for my heels, but you might have a rug or something that you are able to utilize so your heels feel comfortable. Okay, so we're not in our maximum straddle today. Well, this might be. If you're opening your legs, you're like, this is my maximum. That's totally fine. You just want to make sure your legs are in front of you to catch yourself so you don't fall forward. Okay, so you're going to take your arms in like this, and all you're going to do to finish today is we're going to hinge forward. Once again, please exaggerate chest out, tailbone out. This is very similar to what we were doing when we were standing with weights. We're loading up the hamstring and going in and out of our stretch. Oh, we're going to do 5 more today. And 5. And 4. And 3, 2, hold for 10 seconds on the last one. It's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Well, thank you for joining me for a Hello Hamstrings today. Pilates for longevity. Be well.